Hey, welcome to Instrumental Intel. I am your host, music producer Achickwitbeatz, and I got another great show lined up for you today that's going to have music industry news, beats produced by me, and I have a special guest coming today, Wynell J Soul, to share about recognizing milestones in your musical journey, among many other things. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to bring this show to you. I got to give a shout out to my home station, Grander Radio, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And you know what? I think without any further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get it started. Let's go. Music Biz Brief for the week. Today we got a lineup of some intriguing stories from the world of music and copyright, so let's go. First up, the Supreme Court recently made a significant ruling regarding copyright infringement claims. So in the case against Flo Rida and Warner, the court decided that there's no time limit on such claims, which has implications for both copyright holders and potential infringers. So this ruling is crucial for artists because it ensures that damages for past infringements can be pursued without time constraints as long as it's filed within a reasonable amount of time. Alright, moving on, there's some news in the realm of music rights clearance services. ClearBeats has just announced its launch, aiming to streamline the process of clearing derivative works like covers and remixes. This innovative service is beneficial for artists because it offers improved communication and transparency in rights clearance, which leads to better monetization opportunities, which is always a good thing. Alright, now turning our attention to the UK music scene. Members of Parliament are proposing a levy on arena concert tickets to support struggling small venues. This initiative could have a significant impact on the music ecosystem and provide vital support for independent artists who rely on those grassroots venues for their performances. Alright, shifting gears a little bit, we have a story about GigPig, which is a live music marketplace that secured substantial funding to create new gig opportunities across the UK. So this investment will create thousands of new opportunities, presenting independent artists with more chances to showcase their talent and earn a living from live performances. Next, looking at the financial side of music streaming, Tencent Music's recent profits climb kind of reflects the interesting trends in user behavior and content strategies. So for independent artists, understanding these trends can kind of help you optimize your content and engage with your audience effectively on streaming platforms. And as I've said before on the previous show, it's always beneficial to make sure that you're wherever your audience is. So yeah, if you're not taking advantage of the streaming services that Tencent offers, make sure that you do that. Make sure that your distributor gets your music there because they're seeing some growth and you want to be a part of that if possible. Alright, speaking of streaming, Muzy, a free service, it's a free music streaming service, has been gaining some traction despite some controversies. So while it's attracted attention and investments, questions about its legality and how it sources music from YouTube have kind of raised concerns among industry insiders and the labels. So although Muzy has achieved some financial success and a large user base, its unconventional approach has kind of sparked debate about the impact on artists and rights holders. So this highlights an ongoing discussion about the challenges and complexities in the music streaming landscape, especially with the rise of free alternatives in an industry that's been dominated by subscription services. So, understanding these debates and controversies is crucial for independent artists as it informs your decisions about which platforms to engage with and how to protect your rights and interests in this ever-evolving landscape and environment. Alright, Apple Music has introduced Shazam Radio Spins, a collection of top chart playlists derived from tracking music played on over 40,000 radio stations globally. So this includes the flagship Top 200 radio chart, which is updated daily, and genre-specific charts like pop and dance. So subscribers can access Shazam Radio Spins from Shazam's curator page in the music app or website. Additionally, Apple has launched the Apple Music Partner Program to assist labels and distributors with identifying industry trends, initially available to select US partners. So these features enhance the music discovery experience for users and industry professionals too, offering valuable insights into current trends, chart performances, and all that good stuff. So independent artists, you can benefit from these new tools and insights to kind of understand better the trends that are happening with it and to promote your music more effectively. Better Noise Music recently sold half its catalog to Raven Capital for a significant sum. They're intending to expand operations and sign new talent. Sony Music, on the other hand, experienced substantial revenue growth driven by successful releases and increased streaming. So this update is crucial for independent artists, providing insights again into trends and strategies for navigate the music landscape. Recent industry rebranding and restructuring have seen Utopia Music transformed into Proper Group and Downtown Music launching Downtown Royalties and Financial Services. So both of these strategic shifts, including management changes and expanded service offerings, kind of signal responses to market changes, and it could provide some new opportunities for independent artists seeking support and services for your music career. Now delving into the ongoing battle over Spotify royalties, where music publishers are actively opposing Spotify's plan to bundle audiobooks with its premium subscription. This move could significantly impact songwriter earnings, and they're saying that it could lead to an estimated revenue loss of $150 million. So the National Music Publishers Association, NMPA for short, and the Association of Independent Music Publishers, AIMP, have taken a stand, kind of shifting demands from automatic opt-in to protect songwriter earnings. So this issue underscores the need for independent artists to advocate for fair compensation and transparent subscription options within the music streaming industry. Finally, we have some insights into Epidemic Sound's potential IPO and strategic growth plans. Obviously, this reflects broader trends in music licensing and tech. So while these developments primarily concern Epidemic Sound's business strategies, independent artists can still observe these trends and potential shifts to see what's going on. And anytime there's an IPO, that also means that there's investment opportunities. Of course, as I always recommend, make sure that you do your due diligence before investing in anything. But it's always good to know when these things are going on and to take a look at it and see if it'll benefit you. All right, this wraps up the lineup of music and copyright news. It's always fascinating to see how these developments are kind of shaping what's going on in the industry and give us insight to how we need to plan to kind of navigate through our music careers. All right, we're going to take a quick pause for the cause and then be right back with special guest for the week, Wynell J Soul. Stay tuned. I'm Achickwitbeatz, multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit Achickwitbeatz.com for resources for artists and instrumentals in various genres available for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's Achickwitbeatz.com. That's ACHICKWITBEATZ.com. Let's make something happen. All right, this time we have in the virtual building joining us for instrumental intel is soul singer Wynell J Soul. It's been a pleasure knowing you, so I'm excited to present you to this particular audience. You've been on the Music Marvel show before, but if you could just kind of give an introduction, as to who is Wynell J Soul and what kind of got you into music in the first place.
Okay, thank you. Hello, world. Yes, it is my pleasure also. Wynell J Soul is R&B soul singer. I do R&B, gospel, jazz, a little bit of blues, very eclectic style. Been singing for a very long time. Always really been a singer, like literally always. Since I was very young, I started off singing gospel in a gospel group with my cousins in Chicago. So I'm originally from Chicago. I do reside in Michigan, but I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, Southeast side. So I've been singing in choirs and churches and weddings and funerals and all of that good stuff since probably about performing since about 8.
Wow. That's so
8
early.
years old. Yeah. Yeah, me and my cousin were we started a gospel group. So we always, we went from churches to churches singing, and we actually used to come to Michigan when I was little. That's how I ended up moving to Michigan, because I used to travel to Michigan to different churches to sing. Yeah.
Wow. So, okay. to think about doing that as early as 8 years old, do you recall ever being nervous when you started, or was it just...
Oh gosh. Yes. So funny thing is, I was considered the shy one of me and my cousin's group, but I was, the voice. One of my friends laughed. He was like, "Oh, so you was the Beyonce of the group." I'm like, you know what? Honestly, when I listened to her story about how she started and how she was uncomfortable on stage by herself, that is totally me. Wow. I literally it took me a very long time to get up by myself and sing and be comfortable, because I was just so used to my cousins being on the side of me. Even though I was the shy one, I was able to do a lot better, performance-wise, when I had other people around me for a very long time. Wow. So yeah, that was really hard. It was hard when I was young, but I got used to it. Like I said, we used to travel, and I actually forgot about how much we traveled until I was speaking to a friend of mine, and I remembered. I was like, oh shoot, I really used to go to different churches, and I used to come up here to Michigan, and we used to go to churches in Detroit and sing. So yeah. Wow. I think my first church we went to in Detroit, I think I was 12 or 13.
Okay. Man, I can't even imagine. I'm kind of shy. I've been called quasi-social. So it's I know how to act in certain situations, but I tend to kind of keep to myself. So the thought of you out there doing that and, going places that young, that's just phenomenal. I don't even know if you recognize how impressive that is, but, I guess it was just life for you back then, but that's
it was.
Amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know if you guys knew, because when I first moved to Kalamazoo in 2005, I believe, I was one of the contestants on the show Tommy at the Apollo at the Miller Auditorium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep. I was one of the contestants there. I auditioned at Miller, and when they did the show, I was the person that opened the show.
Oh, wow.
One of the local residents won that show. But yep, I was in that Apollo show at Miller Auditorium.
Amazing.
Yep.
What would you say would be the biggest, experience or thing that you took with you from that, having that opportunity to do that?
That was my first time on a large stage with that many people. I don't know. Miller is 3,500 or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's huge, and I do believe it was sold out. So that was the largest stage then. Yeah, but that was the largest stage then. The one thing that I took from me then is when singing on a large stage, you have to find a focus point because there's so many people. So what I usually do is just focus on something in the audience so I could like block out all the other, because if you look at people, sometimes it'll throw you off.
Yeah.
So that's just something that I learned to do personally that helped. But yeah, it was a great experience for me. Just even being able to do that, because I had an audition for Showtime at the Apollo at different cities, all over in Ann Arbor and Indiana, Chicago. So, okay. But yeah.
Yeah, and just to give context to anybody, outside of the Kalamazoo area, that's where Western Michigan University holds graduations and other local places. So yeah, that's a huge auditorium. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, and I do believe it was sold out. Man. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I sometimes forget how much stuff I've done because people will ask me things and I've been like, oh shoot, I forgot about that. But yeah. So being over in Germany, a lot of the venues and a lot of the theater halls and stuff like that were the size of Miller.
Okay. So that was kind of like a jumping point for you then. So your recent tour, you were kind of experienced with having to deal with large sizes like that then, huh?
Oh, yeah. And when I tell you, they were sold out everywhere we went. We did about 12 cities around Germany. Some cities we did 2 days, and some cities we did 2 shows in 1 day.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was amazing. It was a gospel group, the New Harlem Gospel Singers. It's a gospel group that started back in early 90s. A group of gospel singers from Harlem, New York, went over to Germany and started a tour, and they toured over there for a very long time. So we are the new version of them. So we call ourselves the New Harlem Gospel Singers. Okay. And it's under a company called Sweet Soul Gospel Music. Well, Sweet Soul Music, because he has different shows in Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But yeah, that was amazing. I was there for a total about 3 months. The tour was started right before Christmas time and about till end of January. So,
oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That was a decent time over there.
Yeah. I went in October because we started rehearsals in October. So I went back and forth in October and November, and then I went and I actually stayed December through the end of January.
Okay. So since you went to like all these different cities, were there any particular standouts that, when you reflect on it, I don't know, maybe hold like a piece of your heart now that you've been there?
So one of my favorite cities was a town called Dortmund. For some reason, I just like this town. I don't know. I think we were at the, it's called the Philharmony building. It was a beautiful venue. The people was very receptive. Like everybody got standing ovations this night. The energy was just amazing. Yeah. And I really like that town. And I think that's the town that we did 2 shows in 1 day. And then we went back the next day. But I really liked that town. And it was very like multicultural. It was a little bit more diverse. Germany is Germans, but you find a lot of different cultures there also. And people always ask me, well, how were they? Because of the history of Germany. But I'm like, we were very well received, and everybody in our group were African American, like they were Black people from America that lived over there, or mixed Black and German.
Okay.
So, some of the band members and some of the singers also. But yeah, I really like that town, and other towns that we went to. We had a really good crowd in a town called Mannheim, Germany. We had a really good crowd there too.
Mannheim, okay. So I guess with spending that amount of time over there, how would you say that kind of shaped your creativity, or like did it inspire you to write more, or just kind of put things in perspective? How would you say it affected you artistically?
It didn't necessarily inspire me to write more. It definitely inspired me to go back and utilize the opportunities for music there it's a little different than being in the States as far as competitiveness. And over there, it's they like American music a lot. Like it's a big thing. It's a big scene. They love it. They come out, they support it. And you could do very well in Europe. I mean, I know a lot of artists know that probably anyway, because a lot of people go to Europe first before they make it in the States, because I see why now after being over there. As far as writing my own music, I did that a lot. I have a lot of features and things like that on other artists, a lot of like local rappers in Kalamazoo. And a lot of people wouldn't know this, but I've actually sang on tracks for a few artists in Kalamazoo for their songs and stuff like that. So I haven't been yet inspired to write anything new, but I was inspired to travel more, to create like a band, because everybody over there works with different bands and they work very well together over there. That's one takeaway I can say that I took away from being over there.
Okay.
They work very well like together. And being in the States and the things that I've done here and how sometimes it's hard to put things together because, it's different. Yeah. And Kalamazoo is a smaller area, so I totally get it. But yeah, I have been inspired to put a band together and travel and do my own thing.
Okay. So do you have in mind some places that you might, would like to put on the list to target at some point?
You talking about in the States or over in Europe?
Over in Europe or even locally,
Well,
whatever.
My cousin, let me first give shouts out to my cousin. That's how I even got over there. His name is Derek Alexander. He's been singing in Germany for over 20 years. He started in the military. Yeah, and so that's who got me connected there. He's amazing. He's very well known over there. I call him a celebrity over there. So I would like to give him shouts out for even, giving me the opportunity. And that's how I got to meet a lot of people over there. But as far as there, I do have some connections there if I wanted to go back and further pursue that. But I am also working with a person here as a drummer out of South Bend. Okay. Yeah, his name is Johnny. He's an amazing drummer. He's in a few bands locally in Indiana, and he does come to Kalamazoo often too. So we're in the process of putting some things together without speaking too soon, putting it in the universe, But yeah, so that locally and just doing my own thing here. As far as I got some things lined up, like the Black Arts Fest and Juneteenth and Battle Creek, stuff like that I'm going to be doing before I go back on tour, because I am going back on tour in Germany. Okay. Yeah.
That is really incredible.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah. So you mentioned, some people that you have in mind working with, or that you have worked with some people. Since the audience is still primarily independent artists, what advice would you have to give to anyone as far as choosing collaborators? Because you never really know what you're going to get sometimes until you get into the thick of it. But yeah, for anybody listening that's having a hard time choosing how to choose collaborators, what advice would you have to offer?
Honestly, that is a very hard thing I've noticed for me personally from being in the States. I would say people that are consistent, people that are open to working together with other people. Because a lot of times people they don't want you to take their shine, or they feel, in secret competition. And it's not necessary, because people with real confidence, people who are really doing things, they're always willing to collaborate with others, because, we need each other in a way, especially when it comes to music. I sing, I do not play instruments, so I'm going to always need to collaborate with people, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And even with other singers, it just makes us so much better when we work together. And I'm one that always like working with other people, because I started in a group working with other people, and singing in the church, you always have to work with others anyway. So I would just advise people to choose people that are consistent, professional, and very secure, integrated in in their confidence, because that helps allow you to be able to shine and them to be able to shine, and nobody's in secret competition in that way. Man. And it shows when people are very secure in what they're doing and work with somebody that's secure also. It's like a magnetic kind of energy when you deal with people who are very sure of themselves.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you just dropped some gems right there.
I am a little deep, I'm a spiritual bae, I'm all of that stuff in one. Like I'm so eclectic in so many ways. Sometimes I have to, get to know myself on a deeper level sometimes, just with all of that. Like I said, all the things that I've done and accomplished that I didn't acknowledge. And thank you for acknowledging that, because sometimes I'll say things out loud and I have to be like, oh shoot, oh, you really did do that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, in
my own way,
Yeah. I mean, that's really kind of a testament to how you take things in stride. So, it's probably easier for you to conquer those things because you just look at it as something that you have to do. And so a lot of times when you kind of plowing ahead like that, it is kind of hard to recognize, that you look back and like, whoa, I just climbed that huge mountain, when you just knew you had to get over it. But yeah, it's yeah, I think it's a testament to how smooth you make it look. So yeah, the fact that I have to point it out to you, it's commonplace for you. So yeah, excellence is a characteristic. It's not something that's happenstance. So that's pretty dope.
That's so true. Thank you so much. One of my friends had to tell me, like, you're too humble. And it took me years, and when I say years, to understand what he meant by that. And it was when I started to have conversations, and now the words were put in the air, and I would be like, oh shoot, I did that. Oh, that is success. Because we all measure success differently. And sometimes if we compare our success levels to other people, we'll miss where we were really successful in our life in some capacity.
Right.
And I have to tell this story because this is one of the things that happened to me in Germany on a more spiritual level that made me understand who I was and what I was doing and why it was important. I went in Germany in a small town called Schwetzingen. And we didn't have a show, but we had a show like the next day. So I got to like explore this small town. It's raining, I'm walking, and I'm trying to find a nail shop, of course. But I found one after like going to like 5 different ones, nobody could do my nails. I went to this one nail shop called Royal Nails. I found it. And she was like, yep, we can do your nails. Come outside. It's not raining anymore. An older man was out there playing his guitar. Mm-hmm. He was from the country Achickwitbeatz. It's an African country.
Oh.
And he was out there playing his guitar right in front of a little store. And he stopped me. I stood there to listen to him, gave him some euro. And after he played, he came up. He said, I just want to talk to you. And I gave him a hug. And he told me his story. He was 86 years old. This man looked like he was like in his 50s.
Wow.
Yeah, he used to be a singer. He moved to Germany, not speaking any English, not speaking any German.
Wow.
He told me like 30 years ago or 30 or 40 years ago. And he used to be a singer. I told him I was on this gospel tour. And he was telling me how amazing that was. And when he said, I wish I could be doing something like that, or I wished I had did something like that. When I say it changed everything for me. It made me be a little bit more grateful, because at this point of the tour, I was just kind of like missing home a little bit, not really feeling it. I'm in Europe. I'm in a different country. Everything is different, And when I left that town and after I met that man, I told somebody, I said, I met an earth angel. And he reminded me exactly why I was here doing what I was doing. And it shifted for me that day. Yeah. I realized, I was like, I will not take this opportunity for granted, because I just met somebody who literally said he wished he was in a position to do something like that in his life.
Right. And this is after visiting several nail shops and not finding success. Like, you can't Yeah, you can't say that was a coincidence.
It was
That was
not. It was
orchestrated.
divinely, girl.
Yeah.
Yes, divinely orchestrated. When I tell you, I went to about 4 or 5 different nail shops, and I was like, none of these people do my nails because it was meant for me to go in that shop and to see him. And I knew it. And if you ever met a person and you knew you were never going to see them again, but they made that much of an impact on your life within a few minutes, then you know you have come into a person, earth angel is what I call them. People who were just sent to do something in your life, say something, give you something, and then you probably never see them again.
Yeah.
I did take his picture though.
Oh, good.
I did. I asked him, can I take his picture? Because I always tell people the story, and I literally have a picture of him just, to prove it. He looks so good. And I was like, I'm going to be like you when I'm 86. Like, I'm be looking this good, because I swear the man had all his teeth and everything. Beautiful skin. When I say I have never, and it just, I don't know, it changed me that day, and I would never forget him.
Wow. That's an incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, I had to tell that story because he was a musician, and he didn't get to do what I was doing at that moment, and it made me more grateful.
Yeah, I think that's such an excellent thing to bring up. Mainly because you're right. So many of us do experience things. And I mean, 3 months is a long time. So I think probably by like week 2, I'd probably be kind of itching to go back and not really focus on, the groundbreaking things that you were doing, because you miss home, you're still human. But I think it in the broader spectrum, it kind of makes you look at how often we do things, and we kind of take it for granted, after a certain point, and don't really recognize that. You're right, man.
Yep. I had a great time, and I realized that I really lived in the moment there, because I lived in the moment so much it became my home. I lived there, I lived as if I were a resident. So it wasn't a tourist type of experience for me. So I got to experience the people, the culture, the cities, that kind of thing. And like I said, after meeting him, I realized how grateful I was for the opportunity. And my friends and family was like, you were gone a long time, but it didn't feel that way to me. Wow. Because I literally lived in the moments that I had there, that I looked up and I was like, oh, it's time for me to go back home. And I literally cried. I didn't want to come back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had made that my home, literally.
Man, that is fascinating.
Yeah. And the caveat to this all is, when I first got there, I was like, oh God, I can't do this. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. Like, the average person that's, visiting, like you said, a week or two, you like, I'm good. Yeah. But when you're there a little longer, and, things are so different over there. It is beautiful over there. It's a lot of things that I wish we had here in the States, but it's a lot of things as far as, just a lot of little freedoms and like independent type things that we do in this country that they don't necessarily align with. But I could actually see myself living in some part of Europe. I don't know if Germany would be it, but some part of Europe, just because it really makes you feel like you in a different world when you go to places like that, and you come back here, you be like, oh shoot, we got a lot of stuff wrong.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We have a lot of stuff wrong. But it was a great experience, and I wish that for every Black kid that come from the east side of Chicago like me to travel to Europe way before I did. That's what I wish.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, I feel like and this is from somebody who doesn't go very many places that often. I think I've left the country a total of twice. But but just to even experience those other cultures for those time frames, there's no way you can come back unchanged, and especially to spend the amount of time that you spent there.
It did. And when I say it did, it changed me. I am a different person now, but in a good way, but also in a way of now the advice, the story, the wisdom, the knowledge that I gained that I could now pass on has, it's greater. It's on a different level, a different perspective, which is always good because that's what life is about: learning and growing and evolving and experiencing different cultures and people and places. It grows you in a different way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah,
so travel more.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I'm just now finally getting to see more of the States. I really hadn't left yeah. I was born and bred in Kalamazoo, so yeah, I'm starting to see a little bit more. I finally went coast to coast recently, and I know just for me, like creatively, it just kind of, I don't know, reframed some stuff for me. And even, I guess, even with some of those places, so like I got to see New York, got to see LA, but last year I ended up going to DC for the first time. And I mean, we were just there for like a long weekend, hit like these cultural spots, museums and exhibits and all this other stuff. And I just felt so inspired, especially checking out some of the Black music, the Smithsonian there. And I'm like, none of these people knew at the time that they were making history. They were just making art. And so, like even to see that and experience it, like I came back just so charged up. Because you never know, how whatever you're working on is going to affect someone in the future. So, yeah, at the time they were just letting it fly, but they're in the Smithsonian now. Like,
yeah, but that's exactly what you're doing with this. You know what I mean? Like I set my intentions when I agreed to do this. I was like, my intentions is always to use whatever I have to add to another person to elevate in a different way in their life, because you elevate me before I even went over there. You know what I mean? And this interview and other interviews to come will push you and elevate you when you were inspired by what they were doing there, but you could do it in your own way. You are doing it in your own way.
That's very true. I didn't even look at it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's each one teach one. Like it really is. We have to continue to do that and continue to support each other. Continue not to look down or over the people that we think are doing things on a small level, because the Kanyes of the world.
Right.
I told my cousin that's a rapper, I said, you're gonna be the next Kanye in all of the good ways, meaning that you started here and don't think that you could not ever become that great. And when he said he was who he was, a lot of people didn't believe him.
Wow.
So
yeah.
So this is gonna be that. And I could see you doing a radio show in DC. Like your vibe is similar to that. Mine is too. My daughter, she was like, Mom, everything about you aligns with DC. And I've only been through DC a few times. I haven't gotten to experience the culture yet. But that is one of the places in the States that I would like to go.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I still want to see other places. I want to check out Europe. For some reason, I have a strong fascination with Italy ever since watching that second season of White Lotus. Oh. Guilty pleasure, but
right.
But yeah, it's like when you travel and get to experience different things and different places, it does change you. And you never know what lessons you can take from it that'll help you creatively and kind of express yourself. So thank you for this opportunity, because you have no idea, like you might not see also with Marvel and the things that you guys done and all of the success that you've had in that way, because you think you're doing it on a small level, but it opens you up, because the universe says, what do you want? And once you put it out there creatively, your art, your talents, whatever, you open yourself up to more abundantly in a way. That's what abundance is. I love it. That's beautiful. Yeah. So, thank you for taking the time to come out. Thank you for, sharing your wisdom and your experience with me and the listeners. And before we get ready to head out, I just want to make sure that everybody knows, where they can follow you, find you, and keep up with what you've got going on.
Okay. Well, my Facebook is Wynell Johnson. It's Wynell J Soul on there, and then I go by Island _ Black Gal GYAL on Instagram, And if you want to contact me for any events or book me, my booking email is Wynell J Soul.888, the number 888 at gmail.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, you heard it here. Make sure that you get in touch with her. Phenomenal voice. And
thank you.
Just thank you for taking the time out, and I look forward to having you back on sometime soon.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you so much, and blessings to you. And this show is going to take off very, very, very soon, just so you know. We put that on the universe.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and blessings to you too.
Thank you.
All right, and that does it for this week's edition of Instrumental Intel. Once again, I thank you for checking this out and joining in the conversation. I'd like to give another shout out to my home station, Grander Radio, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And come back next week. Got another great show lined up for you. And, we're going to be closing out Mental Health Awareness Month with my special guest, Cinque Barlow, coming up pretty soon. So, yeah, I'm excited to share this one with you as well. So make sure that you tune in next week. You know where to find me. Tune in, tell a friend. See you then. Peace.